You're muted.
You're on mute, Kathy.
I think we're ready to go.
Okay, all right, so you're recording. So anyway, well, thank you, Tom, for keeping us on track. We appreciate that.
Great.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning and welcome to Lakeville Rotary. This is Thursday, June the 25th edition, and we're certainly glad to have everybody here this morning. So as usual, we will start with our Pledge of Allegiance. And Carl Rostrom, would you please do us the honor of leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning?
I'd be pleased to do so, Mr. President. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Carl. Peg, if you'd please grace us with the invocation this morning, please.
Gathered together this morning in unity with the Rotary ideals and the Rotary Sport four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it bring goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? The events of the last few months have put the test to these beliefs for each of us. Dear higher power or God, Allah, universe, whoever you pray to, please guide and support each of us as we apply these tests in the midst of a pandemic, COVID-19, financial insecurity, and the rising of social unrest. Please surround each of us with your loving care and guidance. Open each of our minds and hearts to look for and seek to understand ours and everyone's truth. Let us have the courage to stand up for ourselves and for our fellow man that may not be able to stand up for himself. Let us also find it in our hearts to be generous where there is genuine need. Lastly, let us not forget or ignore each of our own personal needs. Please bless the food that we eat today and the hands that have provided this food for us. Amen.
Thank you, Peg. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
for sharing with us this morning. Well, I don't see any guests this morning, but I will defer to Kathy. Do we have anybody that's joined us as a guest?
No guest this morning, unless there's
No
someone
guest.
who.
Oh no, that's Ken Wentworth. I thought there was a guest, but there wasn't. Joined us from your cabin this morning. Good morning, Ken. Okay, well, having no guest, we'll get through some announcements this morning. As probably you've seen, notes from the district, we are in the push for the foundation. We've got 1 week left, and as far as I can tell, what the indications are, we're making progress with that. So if you have an opportunity to look at the request for getting us towards $400,000, please do so. There's certainly some need to be met there, and the foundation always has it's always an opportunity to leverage our financial giving on the Rotary side. Richard, do you have some updates for us on Taste of Lakeville this morning? Or
yeah, good morning. I
are.
can't get my video to work. I don't know what it is. After I make this announcement, I'm gonna close out and click back in. So it's kind of weird just not seeing your video there. But anyhow, I am here. We'll have a short Taste of Lakeville meeting after we wrap up this morning. So Taste of Lakeville team, if you could please stay on. So we're all kind of calling salvage operations for Taste of Lakeville 2020. The best we can do. And a couple of key items that'll concern the members are, the first one is with auction. We will have a pretty good auction opening up this summer and towards the end of August, closing out. And since this will be kind of the focus for the members and there's no tickets you'll be purchasing, we're hoping the members can really give it a good push and perhaps go in with other members. And Dan Enberg, if you wanted to chime in there he's a Navy B Bravo Zulu. He's honchoing our auction effort. And take it away, Dan.
Yeah, so thanks, Richard. I actually just confirmed with Lowell this morning that we are still going to accept donations in the basement at the bank. So as you have items that you are collecting, we'll be accepting those and storing them in the basement of the bank. What we found has been really good in terms of creating a great experience in the online environment is kind of merchandise that we can find online and actually use the manufacturer's pictures to upload into Silent Auction Pro rather than trying to capture an image from the basement of the bank. So at this point, there's no need to make it like a basket or anything necessarily overly pretty, I guess you could say, but we will be trying to find as good of images as we can to load into the auction software.
And did you have like a list of items for members to target, or where we're looking that members might go in on together?
Sure. Yeah, I'm working with Adam to pull together what groups are going to be together, and we'll be assigning a captain to kind of for each group to coordinate each of the items. And so I believe, Kathy, I'll coordinate with you in terms of getting that list that we have of suggested items that we've used in the past. I know that we've had that on the tables this spring in terms of donations that we've solicited that have been good options, but we'll go ahead and get you a copy of that electronically.
Outstanding. So again, hope a big push from the members to help make the auction a big success. The other item is wine judging in a box that we'll be coordinating with Lakeville Liquor. And thanks for calling, for helping to coordinate that with Brenda. So that'll be an opportunity for the members to help sell these wine judging boxes. And there'll be a few other odds and ends. We'll make announcements on those later. And I don't know, Adam, I see you're on. Did you have any, do you have anything we're missing? Anyway.
Nothing to add, Richard. Thank you.
Okay. And that's your taste of Lakeville 2-minute, and we'll start short meeting right after we wrap up here. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. Good luck with your video there. I think this is probably the longest running Taste of Lakeville meeting that we've had. Normally this time of year we would have been concluded. So way to hang in there, both you and the team. Speaking of opportunities, we have an opportunity for some community service. If you recall, we were talking a few weeks ago about this, about the collaboration with the Chamber of Commerce and our local school district to try and provide meals for students this summer. So we got the word this week that is a go. And so they are looking for volunteers starting as early as tomorrow to help with distribution. So Sheila and Nancy will be sending out a note with the link to be able to log into what they're really looking for. They need a couple volunteers per shift. They're going to be doing this from June 25th through I think the 23rd or so of July. So please watch your email. This is a great opportunity. As I said, this is an immediate need. We can have a really strong impact, and it's a really great opportunity for the collaboration we've had between Open Door and the school district and the Chamber of Commerce. So if you have any questions with that, you can get back to any of us, and we'll be happy to help with that. The only other announcement that I have, and you've probably seen it on your meeting notice, is we are due to go back to brackets starting on July 9th. There'll be some more details coming out. Obviously, we will be social distancing. We will have a number of different things that we'll have to do. We will be continuing the Zoom platform. So we'll have what's called a hybrid meeting. We'll have an online as well as an in-person meeting. So please stay tuned, look for that. And in order to do that, we're going to have a survey. We're going to have, in effect, we're going to have reservations, because one of the changes is basically we will only be able to have plated meals. And so it's going to be important that we tell brackets ahead of time who's coming, how many meals we're going to have. So please check your email from Kathy yesterday. It has the link to the Survey Monkey. That's going to tell us who's coming, and we'll keep you posted as we get anything new. Did I miss anything, Kathy? You're on mute, Kathy.
Look in your chat box. I just put the link to the survey. If not, I sent it out yesterday afternoon with the meeting notice, and will come out again.
So there you go. The like we said, I think one of the biggest changes we'll have is we will have to have an idea of who's coming, and we'll have 4 to a table. We'll be wearing masks, and I don't know. Are they going to be checking temperatures when we come in, Kathy? Is that part of the process?
I'm waiting to hear back from brackets. So as soon as I have more information, I'll send that out.
Okay, thank you very much. And I think the only other announcement I had was it looks like it'll be a beautiful day for a in-person 501. Thanks to Mr. Wentworth for putting that together. Ken, anything else you'd like to add?
We'll be out on the patio. It looks like a beautiful day, so we'll be able to space as much as you're comfortable within that space. So it'd be great to see a bunch of you in person and start getting back to some sense of normality. It's good to be going back to brackets as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that whatever normal looks like, I think this is a good first step towards that. So thank you very much. Oh, Mark Booth is pledged to buy the first round at 501. Well, isn't that giving? That's awesome. That's awesome. We ought to get that out on social media. I'm sure he would appreciate that.
Our turnout just doubled.
Well, if you put signs out on the sidewalk, I'm sure we could get a lot more people to come in. Did I miss any other announcements? Anything else anybody would like to share this morning before we get to our program?
This is Kathy Hewitt. I'd like to share that this week the district had their annual awards program.
Oh, yeah.
And for 2019-2020, Lakeville Rotary Club did get honored with the District Governor Citation Award. We came in second place with Club Service Award and first for vocational service. So congratulations.
Well, thank you, Kathy. Thanks for reminding me. I had forgotten to go over that this morning. Yeah, great. Everyone should be very proud of that, considering a little bit of a challenging year, to say the least. So that's awesome. We've been able to do that. Thanks to everyone. Any other announcements? Peg, did you have anything for us on international? Is there anything new happening there that we need to talk about?
Not really. Nope.
Okay.
Not right
All right.
yet.
Okay, very good. Well, that brings us to our program this morning. And we're going to have a classification talk by Amy Erkenbrack. She's one of our newer members. And I have to tell you, I think ever since Amy has joined, she's really epitomized the Rotary spirit of service. She's been very engaging and jumped right in, I guess, or pulled right in. I'm not real sure what the right description is, but she's been very active and very interested to hear your story, Amy. So please, the floor is yours.
I appreciate that, Ken. Good morning, fellow Rotarians. So a little bit about me. I'm happy to introduce myself, and I'm happy to take questions as well. This is going to be maybe a 45-minute to 1 hour talk. Just kidding. I do like to talk, but I won't talk that long. I'll just give you a brief update of who I am and my background and the people around me and activities that I like. And I have been a resident of Lakeville since 2013. So when the markets dipped and the housing markets were at a low, my husband decided that we should move from Bloomington to Lakeville because he found us a nice house and a big shop. And the shop's not for me. The shop is for him. So he's a self-employed carpet cleaner, and he has equipment, and he's also a classic car guy. So he has cars, lots of cars. So I don't know if any of you guys have cars. One of my favorite cars of his, he bought it when he was 16 years old. So that's pretty cool. He has a 62 Chevy Impala, and he likes to take that back to the 50s. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to do that this year. But the good news, again, for any car aficionados, Good Guys is having a car show in Des Moines over July 4th. So if anyone's looking to take a road trip and see cars down there, they're open for business. So my husband's name is Shannon, and we moved to Lakeville in 2013, and we love it down here. We love the community. We love where we live. We love everything about it. I actually met my husband in California, interestingly enough, right after September 11th. I moved out there. I was young, and I moved out there because it's warm and everything happens in LA. And because of September 11th, my husband was a mechanic at Northwest Airlines. And because of September 11th, he lost his job. So he had to bid a job somewhere else. He chose LAX because he knew of a friend that lived out there. And I knew that same friend of a friend. And then we connected, and one thing led to another. And then eventually he moved back here. I moved back, and we've actually been married this year for 10 years. So we've known each other for a long time, but been married for 10 years. He has a son who is 27. His name is Adam. He works at Quality Bicycle Product in Bloomington. So he's doing really well. And he's been, I would say, an essential worker during this COVID, just because bicycles are essential and people get around. And that's one of our main forms of transportation in Minnesota, which is cool because we have a lot of outdoor activities. But he's doing well as well. Adam is an outdoors person. He had an opportunity when he was a little bit younger to live in Australia for a year. So he backpacked in Australia, and he has some interesting stories about that. And then also spent a year in New Zealand, excuse me, as well. So yeah, that's a little bit about them. Some things that I like to do, activities that I enjoy. I just recently got into gardening. I'm so proud of myself that I'm not a green thumb. At best, they're yellow. But I'm getting there. So what I did recently is I transplanted some hostas from my mother-in-law's house, and I put them around one of the pine trees that we have outside. And I was really enjoying the fruits of my labor and watching them take root and sprout up and just look really good. Until one morning I went out there and half of them looked like celery stalks. I think the local deer got them. I'm happy to feed the ecosystem. And I know sometimes in my backyard, I'll get a doe and a fawn. So, I'm sure they're hungry, but it's a little humbling that half of the fruits of my labor are gone, but I know the hostas are pretty hardy. So I'm not too worried about that. I like to read as well. So I'm part of a couple of different book clubs. I read personal books. I read business books. A really good business book that I've read recently is The Pumpkin Plan. I'm currently reading the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I'm only on the 3rd habit, so more to come on how to be more effective. But I also like reading personal books too. And one of my favorites from long ago, somebody introduced me to, was The Art of Racing in the Rain. I just really enjoyed that book, and they came out with a really good movie within this last year or two. So yeah, so I do like to read, love to hang out with friends, do activities, go to movies when we have them, that kind of a thing. Get outdoors, walk around. I like physical activity. I don't necessarily like manual labor, but that's okay. I'm stepping out of my comfort zone, especially with the gardening. One of the things that I share with my husband too is we both like to travel. So when I met him, he worked for the airlines, and I was able to be the benefactor of some airline benefits. So we traveled for very cheap. And I actually was working at Hertz Rental Car out in LAX as well. So the rental car was free. The airline, we only had to pay taxes, I think, on the landing. So it was like $25 round trip. or we could pay $60 and sit in first class. But we went to many different places. Went to Hawaii. Living out in California, it's easy to go to Hawaii. The trip is not too far, but we since that have continued to enjoy traveling. So one of a few highlights of places that I've enjoyed, San Francisco, been to Alcatraz. That's one of my favorite places. Thought that was just the neatest thing. My husband and I went to Arizona this last year, or earlier this year, I should say, and then last year as well. Went to Barrett-Jackson, which is a big car show. Surprise. And I got to be a part of that. And I actually know somebody in one of my networking groups that sold a car at Barrett-Jackson this year. So that was cool to have him down there with his family and he included us in that to be a part of that production. So that was really neat. And then we're able to see some family and friends when we go and see some sites like the Grand Canyon and the Airplane Boneyard and so forth. So we may continue to do that each year. We're not sure. We went to Florida last year as well, and that was really cool. Went through the Everglades in a airboat. Got to see some mangrove trees and alligators and things. So yeah, so that's a lot of fun. I would say one of my favorite places that I have visited and will continue to visit is Alaska. If you haven't been, I don't know how many people on this call have been to Alaska. I'd love to know. Yeah, I just absolutely love it up there. It's just great. It's majestic to me, and it's just beautiful with all the glaciers and mountains. And we actually went there on our honeymoon 10 years ago. We took a cruise, and that was just really, really neat. And then we've been there since to visit friends, and been in Mount McKinley, took an airplane to Denali, and just a lot of other fun things. I'm just looking at my notes and laughing because it seems that as of late, every place that we go, there always seems to be a car show that we go to on vacation. And don't get me wrong, I'm willing to go. I love to do it, but I know more about cars that before I met my husband, I would have never thought that I would know as much about cars as I do today, but I do like them. And in fact, one time we went on vacation to Texas, and I don't know if you guys know this or think about it, but a lot of the southern states, warmer states, have nice cars, and these cars have the longevity and the preservation because they don't have the rust and the snow and the salt and so forth. So sometimes we will drive around in remote areas just to see what kind of cars we can find. And I say we lightly. I mean, I'm in the car, but my husband is the one driving this, and he's driving the car. But you find some really neat things. So we were in Texas, and there was this Chevelle. I think it was 70. I should know. Maybe it's a 69 or a 70 Chevelle that was parked next door to us. And my husband, for a lot of you who don't know, he's more of a quiet person, a wallflower, introvert. But he hears this car just rumble and park next to us. And he goes up to him, which is not like my husband, but starts talking to him. And I said, okay, well, I'll meet you back in the room. He comes back into the room. I said, well, how was it? Did you enjoy the car? Did you talk to the owner? Did you ask him if he was going to sell it? And he said, oh, it was great. I took pictures, etc. I just couldn't ask him to sell it. He said he just took it out of storage and got it running. And it's been sitting in storage for 7 years. I said, oh, okay, well, you just never know. So I ended up putting my business card on his windshield. And I said, if you're ever looking to sell, we would be interested in buying. So long story short, we come back from vacation. It's been about 3 weeks. My husband's like, well, I guess we didn't hear from the guy. I guess we're not going to get the car. I said, oh, well, you just never know. And within the week, he calls me. And he says, yeah, you put your business card on my car, and I am looking to sell it. My wife and I are moving back to Utah, where family is, so we can raise our kids there. I haven't used the car in 7 years. I could really use the money. Do you guys want to buy it? So my husband flew down there. I know. My husband flew down there, picked up the car and drove it back. And he had the best time driving it back. He had the wind in the little hair that he had, and he had the silence and the solitude and just the roar of the engine. And so now I joke that that's my car, but I shouldn't joke because technically I still don't have my car. He's got cars, but I don't have one yet. So, but it's on the list. What else can I tell you? Let's see, I work at Thrivent. I'm a financial planner at Thrivent Financial, and I've been doing financial planning with them since 2014. And I really enjoy the work that I do. I help people set goals and make plans with their money. And I got started because my husband and I took a class at church, a Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University class. And I thought, gosh, there's a lot of people who don't know the fundamentals about money or just need help, need counseling surrounding their money. And so that's how I got started. And I really enjoy it. Just helping people get the financial security that they need. And one of the benefits with Thrivent too is we're a Christian organization, and our tagline is helping people be wise with money so they can live generously. So generosity is one of the core values that I have, and one of the reasons why I joined Rotary. And so Thrivent has programs where we can sign up, and this might be helpful for the auction coming up for the Taste of Lakeville, where they will give me $250 to go out and do an act of generosity. For example, getting a group of people together, getting an auction item, using the $250 toward an auction item, and helping to raise money or collect goods or whatever the cause is for organizations. And I've used that $250 many times with different organizations that I've supported within the Rotary, within Lakeville. Outside of that, I'm part of the Chamber of Commerce, and I'm part of the Women in Business Committee, and we have 4 luncheons a year. And one of the luncheons we like to give back. So we've used the $250 and encouraged people who were joining us for lunch to bring in donations or cash, so then we could have as many Thanksgiving Day meals as we could to support 360 communities. We used the $250 last year when we were tying blankets. So that paid for the materials. We got together and tied blankets. With the Lakeville Public Safety Foundation, a group of us got together, and we used the $250 to help buy supplies so we could put hygiene kits together. And it's interesting to me, some of the things I don't know, like you don't know what you don't know. For example, just displacement. If somebody's house burns down, they literally have nothing. They may not even have a relative's house that they go to. So they have to go to a hotel, but they don't have their amenities anymore. Well, I would have never thought of that. So the hygiene kits are to help when families are displaced. So they have like their toothbrushes and combs and shampoo and just the basic essentials, not much, but at least it's something, because you don't have that anymore. So I still have many action teams that I can activate. And I think I will reach out to either Adam or Nam just to see what items you would like for the auction. And I'm happy to initiate that and use the $250 to help that apply towards something. I enjoy volunteering, and that's again another reason why I joined the Rotary. I have a heart for serving and helping the community, and I volunteer at my church, and I've been volunteering I think for at least 10 years, where I help with the video slides, and that has been interesting during this whole COVID event. My pastor is pretty innovative, so he's very technologically advanced, and so there's been a lot of technology surrounding our church. And at one point you think, well, why do we have all this technology that just seems like a lot, and why are we spending money on it? Until COVID happened. And so you were used to doing the production for the service for people in the congregation, but now my pastor is up there preaching to 8 people, the worship team, me, some other tech people, and everything has switched online, and just even navigating that. And thank goodness we have the technology, because I know some other churches out there are a little behind on that, and maybe now they're up to speed. But just going through the navigation of, okay, well, how do we work the video slides? How do we work the words for the sermon? How do we work the lights and the production? And that's been really fun. So I've been doing that week after week. I'm part of the COVID team, is what we call ourselves, conveniently. Just because, you have to kind of stay quarantined and less than 10 people, but that has been really a lot of fun. Trying to think. I don't even know how long I've been speaking, but I think I've talked a lot. So I'll open it up to questions and then pass it back to Ken. And then, I'll say one other thing too, is I enjoy people. I enjoy the Rotary. I enjoy getting out in the community. I would love to get to know more of you guys. One of the things that I have been asked to do is be on the committee to help set up speakers and help people do their classification talks. And I'm really thrilled, and I would like to see more classification talks ingrained. Of course, it's just what I like, but I'm not in charge, but this is what I would like ingrained in our meetings, because I would like to get to know more about the people in Rotary just on a one-to-one basis. And this is one way of doing it. And I know another way of doing it is to get together over coffee or lunch. So if anyone's interested in connecting, I would love to, just because I love to get to know more people and get to know about you. And you know, who knows, maybe we could partner and help the community in different ways too. So
Amy, I have a question.
Yeah.
It's Steve Volofka, by the way. And thank you for being part of our board and to help in selecting speakers. And by the way, if anyone has a lead on a speaker, please pass them Amy's way as we try to line these up a month or a couple months ahead of time. And I'm sure Kathy would appreciate that as well. Amy, my question is, it's relatively new to our Rotary Club. What's your favorite thing? Put you on the spot here. What's your favorite thing about being in our club?
I would say the introduction to people and getting to know folks in the community is one of my favorite things. And then also helping out locally. I don't mind supporting at an international level, all the way down to a country level, to a state level. But I really like just the grassroots of starting in Lakeville and helping. And I really love, I'm looking forward to the volunteer list to help the school districts with the meals, because, you know, if there's a need in our own backyard, I'd like to help start there and then branch out from that.
Amy, this is Judy Kelleher. How are you?
Good. Hi, Judy.
Hi. So you mentioned a few times of your interest in Rotary because you're volunteering and giving back. How did you initially get engaged and find out about Rotary and get connected to the Lakeville Rotary? And for all those of you who have not had a chance to meet with Amy, I've been fortunate enough when we had our in-person meetings to sit with her a few times at breakfast, and you're just a joy to sit with, just fun to talk to and to get to know. So I really appreciate it. I guess I'm not surprised that you've jumped in as deep as you have, because you're just so highly engaging. So it's fun to have you in the club. But how did you get engaged and connected to Rotary in the first place, and specifically Lakeville Rotary?
Yeah, well, I am a resident of Lakeville, and Crystal from Reina's, she was part of, or she's part of the chamber. She was part of the Women in Business Committee, and her and I connected on a couple of different times, and all of a sudden, you know, we're chatting, and she says, then also we were partnering to do some community work as well. She had some things that were on her heart that she wanted to accomplish, and she says, have you ever thought about the Rotary? I said, no. I've never thought about the Rotary. And she says, oh, well, this is what we do, and I think you might be a good fit, and you could be my guest, and I'd be happy to introduce you and see if you like it. And I joined the club, I visited the club, and I just like the energy. I like the collaboration. I like you know, what Rotary stands for, and that's kind of how I got hooked.
Oh, hi. Great talk. Did you say you backpacked or traveled a lot in Alaska?
I did not backpack. My stepson did. He was in New Zealand and Arizona. New Zealand and Australia, and he had to backpack and navigate life as a young adult. And there's many stories that he could share. That was pretty cool. But as far as just travel, I've been to Alaska two times, and we were actually scheduled to go on a family cruise this summer. But yeah, that's one of my favorite places to go. I wouldn't say I backpack, but I like to go there.
I'm just wondering. I had to go up there a couple of times for some military stuff. Anyway, did you find the people up there there's just kind of a lot of wacky people up there? I don't know what it is.
There can be some wacky people up there, and the friends that we have that live up there, they live in the Anchorage area. They talk about some of the bizarre stuff, like when cars merge onto the freeway. Nobody's looking. And so I said, well, how do you not hit anybody? Well, you have to be more of a defensive driver because nobody's paying attention. There's a lot of rocks that fly on windshields. So a lot of insurance companies don't cover windshield replacement. So you have to get that. You have to pay for your own windshield. With our friends, the gentleman, he has a brother who has a cabin like in the middle of the mountains. This cabin that he bought, and I guess it was on Alaska State Troopers, because it is literally in the middle of this national park, and it's a privately owned cabin. And so we took some four-wheelers around the mountain. It took us like 45 minutes or an hour, and we went from city life back into the country life and stayed out there. And I don't know, it's good, it's interesting, but they have a different terminology for things like snow machining. And I said, well, what's snow machining? Oh, snow machining, like on a snowmobile. I'm like, okay.
What a place.
What a place. Yeah. And I even asked them too. I said, oh, I see on TV they have the Alaskan bush people. What's that all about? And
That's exactly it. That's the kind of wacky person I'm talking about. The Alaskan bush people. Did you get up to Valdez at all?
No.
Okay.
Is that a place to go?
No, I had to go there, but it's kind of where the that tanker crash happened and all. But anyway, Matt, great talk. Thanks.
Yeah. One of the things on my bucket list next time I go is I want to see some bears. It's always been on my list. I would love to get close to one, but it's nature, so you have to be careful, and they're a lot bigger than I am. So, and they have bigger claws than I do too. So, but that's one thing on my list where maybe next time I'll go and do an excursion where I can see some bears, some wildlife.
Well, I think I have a couple questions, Amy.
Sure.
It sounds like you and Richard had some shared experiences there in Alaska. Alaska's, they always talk about kind of being the last frontier, and you can kind of find whatever you want. But they're in general, the culture is they walk to the tune of a little different beat in a lot of places. But one of the things I was going to ask you about your car, or you and your husband shared interest in cars. You went to Texas. Have you ever gone out to Amarillo and seen the Cadillac Ranch?
Is that a place to go?
Well, it's actually a piece of art. That's what they tell you. But the gentleman had everything's bigger in Texas, so they have a place outside of town. It's called the Cadillac Ranch. I think it's been there since the 70s. And they basically took old cars, old Cadillacs, and dug a hole in the ground, and they're standing straight up. And then they have artwork painted on them. So.
Oh, cool.
But
I would love to go to Cuba for that very reason, because there's a snapshot in time. They have a lot of classic cars because things didn't advance after, I don't know if it was like the 50s or what, but that would be a cool place, I think, to visit, to see a lot of cars and a snapshot.
Those cars in Amarillo are not a snapshot in time. They're more like fossils that are planted in the ground that they don't drive.
Okay.
Yeah, they're at a fixed pivot point, right, Clint?
Yeah. They're retired. Sounds like I have some car aficionados on this call today. What classic cars do you guys have? Anybody? What do you have?
55 Nomad.
Oh, great.
And I have a 71 MGB, which is a throwback to my college years.
Great. Do you guys get out and drive them?
By the end of summer. It's still finishing up.
Yeah.
I always say having a classic car is always an ongoing work of love, because basically there's always something that, you could either tweak or something you could add to it. So.
Right. Great. Any other questions? Well, I appreciate the time today, and thanks for listening to my story. I look forward to continuing to get to know everybody one-to-one, and don't be surprised if you hear from me, because I haven't heard anyone's classification talks, even if it's been, last year or 20 years ago. I'll be reaching out and seeing if I can schedule some folks for this upcoming year. So.
Well, thank you, Amy. Really, really, really good talk. The only thing I would encourage you is to have a little more energy in your talk. I think other than that, I think, and I'm kidding. I mean, obviously you're very engaging and you're certainly a very welcome addition to the club. I think you're doing a marvelous job with that. I think you'll do very well with the speaker committee. I think you'll do well with whatever you're doing. So thank you for sharing with us this morning. Really, really appreciate that. Okay, I was looking to see if there was any other announcements. Mike Cooper, I forgot to ask you if there's anything new for the blood drive. Are we on track with that?
Whoops. Yep.
Well, now you're muted again.
There we go.
There we go.
It's August 18th. I've sent out the first email. I think the website went up yesterday, so if people want to sign up online. It's going to be from 11:30 to 7, and it's at the school district office. I'm forgetting the name of the building, the old Snyderman's building. What we did different this year that I'm really excited about, we've got the school district involved. Cindy Nolan had come to one of our Rotary meetings, and we were doing our announcements or whatever, and she had heard us talking about the blood drive. And both high schools have blood drives at the school, but it's the students that coordinate it are all those kids. Well, it's the National Honor Society, so it's that group of kids. There's another group of kids that are below that don't get involved, have the opportunity to get involved in all those things. And Cindy was expressing concern about that and seeing this as an opportunity for those kids to get involved with something, because the number of those kids have leadership ability, just not necessarily the high grade point average. And so we've got 2 students from each of the high schools that are participating. We meet once a month to get this coordinated, but they've reached out to all of the school principals at each of the buildings. They've got a whole strategy around just the whole internet connection with all the other students. They've contacted the captains of each of the sports, and they're getting really positive response. Last year we had 178 people at this citywide blood drive, and our goal this year is to get to 300. Hopefully these kids are going to make it happen. I mean, it's just been, it's been an exciting experience, because these kids they're very outgoing, and they don't hesitate to tell us when we're being old fogies, and that's good. So it's going to be great. I don't know how much help we're going to need, because we're trying to get the kids involved. So it's probably going to diminish the need, because I really want the kids to do it. So I don't know yet. I'll have to let everybody know what we're going to need. Because of social distancing, what's great about having it over at the district is that the room is really big. So we're really going to be able to get it spread out. And, there'll only be about 50 people an hour going through. So I think we've got it. We're going to have a way of having everybody separated. From a COVID standpoint, it looks like that's not going to be an issue for us. We'll see what happens. But anyway, you'll be hearing from me. Thanks. August 18th, put it on your calendar.
Okay, Michael. I'm sure we'll be hearing more, and that's it. Sounds like you've got your group of students. They're moving right along. So good work with that. So, thank you for that. Okay, happy dollars. We have anybody that's happy this morning? I guess we're all happy and we know it. I was going to give a $5 happy dollar for Amy's talk. I think she did a wonderful job this morning. Thank you so much. And by the way, when we get the chance to meet in July, July 9th, that'll be a good time for all of these accrued happy dollars to come forward. So just a reminder. Any other happy dollars this morning? Kent Wentworth, you're usually happy. You must be happy where you are, right?
I'm just sitting out on the patio in beautiful Lakeville. So.
Oh, I thought you were at your cabin.
I'm happy that we're having a 501 tonight, and I'm gonna get to see some people face to face and have some conversation.
All right then. Anybody else happy? Just a quick reminder that the ongoing Taste of Lakeville meeting will be occurring right after this meeting. Richard promises